Welcome back to the Flex Success Podcast, everybody. We are here to teach you how to be less shit about a particular topic today. As always, I'm joined by Liz.
Hello, everyone.
Co-host, world life extraordinaire of awesomeness.
Thank you.
That makes sense, right?
What a title.
We're going round 2 today.
It is round 2. We filmed this a few days ago now to be released on Monday, as always. And we sent it to the lady who edits our podcast, and she's like,
She was like, Struth, Ruth.
Ruth. Her name is Ruth. There seems to be a problem with the audio, and there was a serious problem with the audio. So
I'm pretty sure we may have recorded it underwater.
It sounded like it. So 2.0, let's go again. What is today's topic, Dean? Do you remember?
Yeah.
What?
Do you need to track macros?
Do you need to track macros, specifically to obviously make some sort of change to your physique?
Yeah, we're gonna say specific to body composition, not to performance, right?
Body composition, yeah.
So do you need to track macros in order to manipulate your body composition?
To gain muscle or lose fat?
And go.
No. Thanks for listening,
Thanks,
everyone. Yep. Good podcast.
You know what? We were too quick there because we've done this before.
We have the same jokes.
We may have just doubled down on the same joke at once. Anyway.
Like all questions in this field, the answer is it depends. Let's give it some context. Yes, sometimes, no, at other times. A super annoying answer, but we're going to kind of unpick when it might be helpful to track macros, when it's definitely not helpful, and maybe some in-betweens. Hashtag informed eating.
Life after diving hashtag also.
Yes, but before we get there, maybe I'll fill everyone in on what's going on with Flex Success. There's nothing too exciting going on in our personal lives. No,
remember yesterday I told everybody that I was really happy with my tan?
Oh,
that was my update.
Yes.
I just remembered.
Do you have to track macros episode 1? Dean's update was that he has a good tan.
I'm impressed with my tan at the moment, yeah. I've been putting in the hard yards, you know?
What a shit update. No one wants to hear that. No one gives a shit about your tan.
Look, if anybody knows me personally, they know I'm a white boy. White. And I'm white.
You are quite white. Mm-hmm.
And I laugh like Muttley. And yeah, that's it. That was my update. Whatever.
Sick update.
I mean, every time I update, I'm just going to be like, so I'm 10 weeks out from contest today.
But Dean, it's like
that's all I've got going on in my life, Liz.
It's not.
I'm a fucking bodybuilder. I'm savage. That's all I do.
It's the only interesting thing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm actually listening to the book Chaos. That's it. There you go. Which is about, I was going to say Marilyn Manson, but it's not. I've just gone blank. Charles Manson. Damn. The convicted serial killer, but not actually the person who killed people.
Okay.
But rather the orchestrator.
Mm-hmm.
Super interesting book. It's called Chaos. I came across it because Joe Rogan had Quentin Tarantino on his movie, something about Hollywood or something. I can't remember the movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's called. Has a part of it is about the Manson murders.
And you heard about the book there. You're doing the audiobook version,
mm-hmm.
which I know because you used one of my audiobook credits.
I did.
You're welcome. And it's like, 15 hours or something?
I think it's like, 16 or 17 hours.
I have a 7-hour.
It's a 20-year book.
What do you mean?
The dude started to research Charles Manson to do a 5,000-word expose in a news article,
mm-hmm.
which got delayed for years.
Mm-hmm.
Then he lost that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he just basically made his entire life about this book and trying to figure out what the fuck was going on back then. And it was a 20-year research project.
And what's the conclusion, Dean?
There was a lot of intertwined, weird, shady shit relating to parole officers, Charles Manson and his hippie group, him being the orchestrator of murders, LSD, the Beach Boys, music publicists, rich people in Hollywood.
It sounds complicated.
The CIA. It's fucking wild. It's chaos. It's just
absolute chaos. It sounds chaotic. But to update you with what's going on with Flex Success, because we don't really care about Dean's tan. So this comes out on Monday, which is 2 days from the day we're recording. Okay. So,
well, we hope it does.
Well, we hope the audio is okay.
We're also assuming that Ruth can get it done.
We'll see. Maybe it'll come out Tuesday. Anyways, by the time this is published, there will be either exactly 2 weeks or just short of 2 weeks that the Flex Success Cut, Gain, Maintain e-course goes live. For those of you who follow Flex closely, we've mentioned it a couple of times on that page. We haven't pumped it too hard. Yeah. And I've mentioned it a few times on my page. I also held some free online masterclasses to whet the whistle.
They were a banger.
They were a
We
banger.
had like 60, 67 people on the Wednesday night and about 30 odd on the Saturday morning.
Yeah, look, Saturday morning wasn't as popular, but yeah,
Everyone was out eating fresh bread
nearly
and butter.
70 people on Wednesday night. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's a lot of pressure, guys. A lot of pressure.
Anyway.
Yeah, I just tried to hair flick and it went all over my face. But yes, so the topic of the 4-week online course is how to cut, gain, maintain, understanding your individual needs. Because we know that, look, one-on-one coaching is great. Reading ebooks, listening to podcasts, all that stuff is awesome to get a general understanding of, what it is you need to do. And obviously one-on-one coaching gives you very specific plans. But the course is going to teach you the fundamental principles that you need to know in order to be your own guide as your goals change. Because maybe you want to spend the next, year or 2 years gaining muscle, but you can't gain forever. Maybe you want to do a cut at some stage.
Or even someone as simple as who's maybe been with a coach before, got some results, did the old isogenics, lost 10 kilos in 10 weeks, and doesn't know why it happened. This is going to like give them some idea of the theoretical reasons as to why, but then more importantly, gives them some application, not only to how to engage it again, but potentially sustain that long term.
Actually, so there's, as I mentioned, 4 weeks, and each week there's a handful of video lessons. What Dean, you just spoke about is week 1, video 1. That's what I explained right from the get-go.
Didn't even set this up.
How all diets work, why some diets might not work, and how we gain and lose weight and maintain weight. And from there, we go through all sorts of useful subtopics to help people put that into practice.
And part of that may be about the benefits of tracking macros.
Yes, exactly.
Which is what we thought we'd talk about today.
So today's topic, do we need to track macros?
You already said no.
No. That's it, guys.
Same joke again.
Don't worry about doing the course then. Okay, some context.
No, you definitely don't have to track. That's for sure.
No, I mean, there's some people who are shredded or have a lot of muscle mass who don't track macros, aren't even really sure what a calorie is.
Well, okay, let's start at the beginning then. Who doesn't need to track tomorrow?
Well, the people that definitely should not track is somebody who has like obsessive behaviors, and macro tracking could mask or exacerbate those excessive behaviors. Mm-hmm. For those people, no. For people who have...
So are we talking like anorexia, bulimia, maybe orthorexia?
Not necessarily bulimia, maybe orthorexia. For those of you that aren't sure what orthorexia is, it's the obsessive compulsion to avoid foods that you think are unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of food anxiety and a lot of tying your morality to food. This food is good, this food is bad. If I eat good food, I am good. If I eat bad food, I am bad. I'm worthless as a person if I eat bad. That's the gist of orthorexia. So, I mean, you could track macros as someone who has orthorexia.
But perhaps if you have the misunderstanding of what it means to have a nutritious, well-balanced diet, mm-hmm. that maybe honing in on tracking things to the minutiae also is potentially ideal.
Yeah, but
maybe it's the mindset that I think I'm associating with more so.
Maybe. I mean, it's not necessarily going to exacerbate orthorexia because mm-hmm. you're just fitting your quote-unquote clean food into macros, but it could also help someone with orthorexia in the sense that you eat all the food that you typically eat and you're like, hey, I still have 300 calories remaining. What's the harm in 300 calories of chocolate? So it could help somebody understand that they can reach their goals and eat quote unquote bad food, mm-hmm. which is a term that I absolutely hate, but we all know what I mean when I say it, can eat a bit of chocolate and reach goals. Yeah,
so stepping away from the food orientated ones, even somebody who's, like you said, obsessive compulsive, mm-hmm. can't let go of like being out by 1 gram.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff, has to weigh everything.
Not necessarily.
Not the right person, or maybe not the right person at the right time for that particular person to track macros.
The tool of macro tracking isn't appropriate for that person right now.
Anyone else?
Yeah, somebody who has the shittiest movement and nutrition habits, that tracking macros is just super unhelpful and unnecessary, because what they're likely to do is just fit the shitty food into a calorie target, which is entirely missing the point. Now, if somebody's eating leftover pizza for breakfast and just like greasy burgers for lunch, and they're just eating for pleasure, they're just eating for convenience, macro tracking isn't going to be helpful, because we know that maybe you can just swap one of those meals for a chicken salad. Maybe you can just swap your full sugar Pepsis, exactly, for something else. Drink a bit more water. Like, there's some basic things you can do to make a huge impact on your health, your energy, your calorie consumption, therefore your body fat levels.
So we're going to say, like, if you're somebody who's currently not a runner, instead of going and getting a sprint coach, maybe just learn how to jog first.
Right, exactly. I like that analogy. That's good. So macro tracking is inappropriate for those people that we just discussed. Yeah, obsessive, compulsive, have a super shitty diet that, you can just make a few changes. Now, if somebody has absolutely no idea of what their individual needs are to reach a goal, or absolutely no idea of what foods have what calories in it, is salmon a good source of fat, or is it a good source of protein? What about eggs? Like, should we be eating nuts for protein? The answer is no, by the way. If people have these questions and they're not sure how foods fit within their individual needs, they would be the perfect candidate to track macros. Because what that is going to do, that process is going to teach them what foods are calorie dense or not calorie dense, what foods keep them fuller for fewer calories, or if you're trying to gain weight, what foods help you get all the calories in without feeling super stuffed. What foods actually are good sources of protein and what are good sources of carbs. And, so.
Well, this is going back to that orthorexia comment that you corrected me on before, which is good.
I didn't correct you.
No.
I feel like I added to
it. Let's not make that. I didn't mean it that way. But what I meant was, I said perhaps not a good idea for them. And you said, well, it could actually be advantageous to teach them. And this would be one of those instances in that they're like, oh, but salmon's the greatest fish ever.
It's
but
healthy.
What they don't realize, they're having salmon with the skin on and they're adding olive oil, and then they're having a quinoa salad with avocado and all of these hyper calorie dense foods. So someone like that, they're going to quickly learn, I wasn't losing weight on my quote unquote clean diet because it was calorifically terrific.
Calorifically terrific. I don't know how I feel about that, Dean.
Terrifically calorific.
Yeah, so it can, just to extend and not correct, it can teach people that there's a difference between food that is healthy and food that is lower in calories or good for fat loss goals. Because salmon, healthy. Avocado, healthy. And what I mean by healthy is like packed full of micronutrients.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like some of these foods people don't realize that the serving size that you're naturally predisposed to go for is large.
Yeah.
So like avocado, most people will comfortably slice an avocado in half and then put half that avocado on their toast.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, cool, man. You just banged in 200 calories of fat. Like, that was super easy to do.
Yeah. And
that's only one portion of the breakfast. So yeah, it's a teaching tool in these instances, which is great.
If someone's having a 300-gram steak, which isn't unusual, if we're going for a lean steak, call it 15 grams of fat before you add oils and butters and sauces and whatnot. If we're going for salmon, what's salmon, 16% fat?
Well, it depends 20, where it's from, 30, but up to 20.
Yeah, so that's nearly a 300-gram steak of salmon is, just doing quick math in my head, like 45, 50 grams of fat.
Whenever you say quick math, I think of
that song? Man's Not Hot.
Big what?
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
Big Shack.
Big Shack, yeah. Big Shack.
Man's Not Hot. 1 + 1 = 2. Quick math. I don't remember what I was saying now.
You're talking about the serving size of salmon and the fact that you could have a 15 grams worth of fat from a steak. If you had the equivalent amount of salmon, you're potentially tripling down on that.
Exactly.
Well, you are.
You are tripling down.
Yeah. Probably less likely to have a 300-gram piece of salmon because most of the salmons are sort of portion controlled at like 150 to 200.
Okay.
But then what you'll also realize then is that you potentially undershoot protein.
Yes, exactly.
So either way, you're going to learn some shit.
We're not saying salmon is bad. Eat salmon. It's a very good source of fats, but we're just saying that we need to know that it is high in fats so that we can tailor the food in our other meals accordingly. Yeah,
because flying blind into a weight loss or weight gain journey will not afford you the opportunity of repetition of success.
Tell me this, Dean.
What we were talking about before. I was saying, like, this will teach you that if you lost X kilos by doing X behaviors and counting these macros, if you want to repeat that again another time, because for whatever reason you fell off the bandwagon, that's cool. You now know from a numbers perspective and understanding nutrition that you can just repeat that process. Whereas if you or I just said to the person, here's the diet, and the diet included salmon, and it included like a whole bunch of healthful food or healthy food, they would have no idea about why they were in there. Or how to portion control them, and then they'll miss out on the opportunity of repetition of success.
Because all they were doing was following your meal plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you saying that Are you making the point here that informed eating can be done eventually?
I wasn't, but it can.
Okay.
My point was that the learning process of learning how to track macros allows you the opportunity of repetition of success, because you now understand your goals. Like we came into the start of, I think, this number 2, that if you go in blind without any understanding of your individual needs, then you have no opportunity of understanding why the result, whatever that may be, positive or negative, is good.
Okay. Yeah. And so if somebody puts the time and effort into understanding their individual needs and what foods fit within that needs via macro counting, it's not that they have to count forever. It's not like, maybe they want to do a second cut a year or 2 years from now, they have to go back to macro counting. If you want to be very accurate, do that. But you've already learnt what you need to learn about food. You understand portion sizes more. You understand what foods fit within your needs, what foods keep you full for fewer calories, all of those things. And you can shift to what we call informed eating, which the first Flex Success book is all about. It's called Life After Dieting, A Guide to Informed Eating. And you don't have to pick up the food diary again. You can just swap rice for potato for pumpkin, banana for apple for strawberries. Like you know the scale of calories, and then you can just swap out your fruits, swap out your carbs according to the direction you want to pull your calories.
Yeah, this was one of the parts of your masterclass, I think, that would have been a big eye-opening experience for individuals, and that you talked about low energy density foods versus high energy density, and then high micronutrient density and so on, right? And that you just casually went through that you can go from sweet potato to white potato to pumpkin. And what people aren't realizing is you're saying, I can eat the same amount, somewhat, from sweet potato to white potato to pumpkin, but I would be linearly decreasing calories every time I swap that food out for the same amount. So eating the same amount of volume of food, feeling just as satiated from a fullness perspective, but eating less calories. The only way you know that you can do that
is if you've macro counted before.
Understood why that's possible.
Yep. Exactly.
I think, we spoke about this the other day too. This might be one of the points, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong again, or add to it, whichever one you prefer. Was that without having this information available to you as well, you could just go way too hard on the dieting process.
Yeah.
Or, conversely to that, or inversely. No, conversely. Yeah, conversely to that, you could go way too hard on the bulk and just get on that, perma bulk.
Hashtag bulk life.
Again, because you're completely unaware.
Yeah. So somebody could go from kind of eating whatever they want or only keeping a loose eye on things to just going to non-starchy vegetables and lean protein. And that's all they're eating. And so then they feel super hungry because the symptoms of dieting are exacerbated because their calories are so low. They feel super restricted, super hungry, that we see this cycle all the time. People snap and have a cheat meal or a cheat day. Maybe it might even turn into 2 cheat days and go back to being hyper restricted to kind of compensate for or punish themselves for this binge that they had. And then this restriction binge cycle continues. Now, if we have an understanding of our calorie needs, we know that we don't need to go that hard. We know we don't need to be absolutely starving right from the beginning or ever, depending on how lean you want to get. And we want to be dieting or losing fat on the maximum amount of calories that we can, because we're reducing the symptoms of dieting, like fatigue and lack of concentration.
Satiety, we just talked about.
Yeah, hunger management. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, because like you were just saying then too, like the length of the dieting, but also the severity of the calorie deficit in a cut perspective is going to exacerbate the negative side effects associated with dieting. So if you go into this completely blind, you just do the non-starch, cruciferous vegetable type sort of diet with lean proteins, and you're 2,000 calories in the red of a deficit, and you don't even know it, you're really quickly going to come unstuck. Whereas if you were aware of what you could put in your mouth to facilitate a sufficient amount of a deficit, then you likely are going to feel relatively satisfied. So I'll draw a parallel quickly with my contest prep. Like, admittedly, I'm on a lot of food compared to what a lot of people probably can eat and lose fat. But for whatever reason, I can eat a somewhat higher calorie per kilogram ratio of, how much I can eat in my body weight. But the point being is that I can choose foods now, and I also am eating an appropriate deficit to lose an appropriate amount of weight loss, fat at the rate that we need to achieve an appropriate goal, without me having to pull a bunch of calories and feel super, super hungry. So I want more food, because who doesn't? But I'm actually pretty satiated from a fullness and hunger perspective 90% of the day. It really doesn't bother me that much. But it's only because we're coming at this with an informed approach to fat loss.
Yeah. So you're doing comp prep. Therefore, you need to be very specific, and you need to weigh your fruits and your veggies and your sauces, whereas somebody who just has a loose goal to lose a little bit of weight, they might have a little bit more freedom to just try the very calorie-dense things like peanut butter and oils or something like that, and they could kind of eyeball fruits and veg.
But again, how would they know to do that?
Yeah, exactly. How would you know what foods are important to keep a close eye on and then a loose eye on?
Yeah, I suppose what we're getting at here
is a close eye on and a far away eye on.
Ion?
Well, an
as in ion exchange?
No, not ion exchange. Sorry.
As in protons and neutrons? You know, I lost my own train of thought by being a dickhead just then. So you serves me right.
What were you saying? Obviously nothing important, Dean.
It's true. Story of my life.
Obviously nothing.
No, what I was going to say actually was that this is what we're sort of highlighting. It kind of sounds like we're pushing towards the you should track perspective, but I don't think that is the case, but rather we're just highlighting the advantages of at least learning the skill of tracking so that long-term you may not have to.
Look,
you know? The point I was going to get is that this is just simply a tool. You know, you used the analogy the other day, and I do remember this, is that, like, you know, the right tool for the right job, to steal Broderick's term. And yours was a hammer is great to put a nail in the wall, but it's terrible to put contacts in.
Yeah, right.
Your eyes, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing wrong with the tool itself, e.g. tracking, but rather give the wrong tool to the wrong person. It's potentially, you know.
Or the wrong time for that person.
Yeah. So, like, you know, intuitive eating principles have an advantage to certain individuals at certain times. Tracking macros will have an advantage at certain times, just like both of them will potentially have disadvantages at the wrong times as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right tool, right job.
Right tool, right job. Exactly. Do you think that I could use a hammer to insert the contact lenses into my eyeballs?
I absolutely think you could, to be honest. You'd obviously want to clean the face of that, but you would just put the
contact on the tip.
Which part? The convex side?
The part that pulls a nail out of the wall.
Oh yeah, no. I'd put it on the flat side.
Oh, would you?
I'd put so that when you're going under the eyeball, it's just flat on. It's just like a finger, really. Like, is this not just a hammer? And anybody that's listening but not watching, I'm just pointing my finger at the screen. No, is that not a hammer? I mean, I reckon I could.
You reckon you could jab a nail into a wall with your finger?
I actually think I may have seen that on Guinness World Records.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
There's a guy who literally, I'm pretty sure, has just gone bang and like fingered a nail into the wall.
Interesting, Dean. Very interesting. What the fuck is wrong with that guy? Let's wrap it up with a how to be less shit tip. I have one if you don't.
Go for it.
My how to be less shit tip, in line with today's discussion, was to not have a dichotomous way of thinking about a particular nutrition protocol, whether that be macro tracking or clean eating or paleo, although we probably can say that nobody should eat a paleo diet or keto. Look, I would say that... Not
the traditional paleo diet. the modified modern paleo diet, where you're allowed to, like, apparently have, like, coconut fucking processed protein bars because they have the ingredients of a paleo diet.
Anyways, point being, we don't want to be thinking of any approach to health or body weight management or body composition change as good or bad, but rather in the context of where you're at. Is it helpful for you at this point in time?
Yeah.
Our dog, by the way, I don't know if you guys can hear him in this microphone.
There's no chance that they can.
Oh, really? He's going off his head.
I think he wants to go sunbake.
Can we put pause on this? And I'm back. Turns out the door closed on him and he was just crying to come inside.
What terrible parents.
Absolutely. The wind closed the door on me. Okay, so that's my less shit tip. And then we're going to move to Would You Rather, Dean? Do you want me to ask you, would you rather? I got a juicy one.
Sure. Better not be one that I gave you this morning.
I was gonna. No, that's all right.
I don't mind. I'll do that one.
Okay. Dean thought of this would you rather this morning. We haven't answered it though. So, would you rather make out with one of your parents for 60 seconds, like full tongue?
I'm assuming you mean my mother.
Well, I don't know. You can choose your dad if you want. Right. Would you choose your mum?
Well, I already decided I'm going for the other one. So.
Oh,
finish it off.
Or date someone for 6 months and sex is involved in this dating process, and then find out they're your full-blooded first cousin.
That one. Yeah. It would be embarrassing, but you can at least end it before you do the dirty again.
But you've already had sex with them.
Yeah, I know, but you're either, okay, this is what you're choosing is. You're either consciously deciding to make out with your parents, knowing full well what you're doing, or you've just had a fucking great time for 6 months and then you're mortified by what you have done.
Let me ask you this question. Why is it wrong?
It's only wrong if you go back and do it again.
But why is it wrong at all? They're not your brother.
No, but they're pretty close from a DNA perspective because we're talking about like it's your mum's sister's daughter.
Not close enough though, because some cultures marry their cousins and there doesn't seem to be any interbreeding issues with their children because cousins are still far away enough.
Yeah, but I mean...
Is it a social construct that we just believe it's wrong?
Well, I mean, it's probably a social construct that it's weird to find your own family member unattractive or attractive. Because, okay, so let's put it this way, right?
The Aztecs used to get it on with their brothers and sisters.
Well, I was going to say, let's just say I'm separated at birth from my sister. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then 25 years down the track, she sees me and goes, fucking hell, he's weird looking. And I say, you're hot. You thought I was going to go the other way.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And then we get it on. Like, we wouldn't know that we're brother and sister. We're just being attracted to the physical state of that human being. I think it's the fact that you know that they're your brother and sister that you think it's
Well, no. What about like hashtag pheromones? Wouldn't she not be as attracted to your scent and stuff?
It would probably depend on hormonal status, her menstrual cycle, where she's at, whether or not I've got a beard or not. Like all of those things would come into play. Do you remember that cool as fuck study?
I do remember that cool as fuck study.
All the ladies that have been on birth control hate their husbands once they get off it because their hormones are no longer fucked with. Damn. What a shame. Don't find a partner. That was a take home from that. Don't go seeking a long-term partner if you are on birth control.
Explain.
Well, they were essentially, oh man, this was years ago. I remember listening to this driving to Canberra from Sydney. I was saying that essentially because you're altering the hormonal status of yourself over time, that your preferences in men will change because of those hormones. It changes also with the menstrual cycle in the absence of birth control, depending on where you're at in the cycle, whether you're seeking somebody to make a baby with or be protected or all that sort of stuff. But basically the long and short of it was that the women would be attracted to a certain smell of a t-shirt of their partner while on the birth control. And then when they took them off their birth control, they were no longer attracted to the same scent. And their attractions changed. And then what they started to look into the research, this is, you'd have to say correlative and more observational though, was that women off birth control tend to have a higher divorce rate and seek other men. So it's like they get to that sort of, post-menopause state, off their birth control, no longer require it. All of a sudden they're like, he's not even attractive anymore.
Because their preferences change because they're no longer.
Yeah, so it's kind of like wearing different colored glasses while you meet somebody, then taking those glasses off and realizing they're actually ugly as fuck.
Beer goggles. That's called beer goggles.
Beer goggles. It's fucking beer goggles, yeah.
But to do with people's scent.
Super interesting shit.
That is interesting. Now, guys, if you're interested in learning more about the Cut, Gain, Maintain course, because maybe you want to know more about your individual needs or what foods fit within those needs, all of the little subtopics that come into having a successful cut and gain. We're going to talk about all sorts of things, and you can check out the curriculum from the link in bio on our Instagram page, either my personal page or the Flex Success
or even mine.
Or yours? Okay, yeah. That's true. We all have.
It's called Quick Links if you're looking for it.
Quick Links. It's just the link in bio, guys. Or from the website, there's a button that says like courses, memberships, and masterclasses or something. And
yeah, I think it's also on the homepage.
Yeah, click through to there. It's not on the homepage, but it probably should be. Maybe I should put it on the homepage.
Probably put a banner on.
So you can check out the curriculum. It goes live August 9, so 2 weeks from the release of this podcast. And there are limited spots. Currently, it is, last I checked 2 days ago, about 75% full. So if you want to join, do it soon. And if you want a discount code, shall we give the discount code?
Fuck yeah.
All right. It's CGM, which stands for Cut, Gain, Maintain, 25, because it gives you 25% off. And so
4-week course.
4-week course, there'll be video lessons. There's going to be downloadable PDFs to help you put those lessons into practice. There's going to be weekly quizzes, which you don't have to do, but if you pass all of them, you'll get a certificate of completion at the end. There'll also be live calls where you'll have your questions answered on a video call so that there can be some back and forth I can say that word, back and forth discussion to make things nice and clear.
And I believe Jasmine will be hosting those lives.
I wish my name was Jasmine, which is why Dean said that.
It could be your ulterior. No. What's the one we have like a second personality? We always forget this.
I know. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I forget the word. Anyways, my second personality
Let's just say your alternate personality.
is Jasmine. The reason that I love the name Jasmine, well, firstly, it's a beautiful name. But when I was younger, I had a serious crush on Aladdin. Yes, the Arab cartoon man that rode on
I'm going to call you Jezebel.
a carpet. And I always wanted to be Jasmine because Jasmine was Aladdin's girlfriend. I would sit in front of the TV, like chin in hands, like, oh, Aladdin, you're so dreamy.
For those that have watched the series Suits, would you ever embark on a Jasmine Lewis lit escapade?
What do you mean?
You know, he loves to play Cinderella and he likes to play dress-ups. Would you do the Jasmine thing?
I'm not into dress-ups in the bedroom. I'm not into, like, role play.
I've worn an Aladdin suit before this.
That's pretty sexy, Dean. You can keep that out of the bedroom.
I was 75 kegs.
Nah. I'm more into maybe birthday suits, not Aladdin suits. Nah, I've never...
How masculine of you. You know what I like in a woman? A naked one.
Bet you're naked under those clothes, you slut.
Oh, jeez.
Too far?
No, never.
That's
this thing on our pod. Apparently you can go too far in Would You Rathers because Liz lost followers asking people if they'd rather their partner or their kid die in a car. But, you know.
A car crash?
Yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah, so...
no, we're not gassing them, just everyone.
Most mornings on my personal Instagram, I play a Would You Rather game. I just put up a poll. You choose A or B. Yeah, and it was, would you rather your partner die in a car accident or your child? And people were so angry. It's a fucking hypothetical question.
I think we need to remind people that these aren't real.
It's not going to happen.
You don't actually have to choose.
If you don't like the question.
But if you did.
Swipe on, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Yeah, people messaged me like some really angry messages, like, how dare I? And
did you throw it back at them and say, well, how dare you kill your fucking husband?
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, people unfollowed me. It was great fun.
Cool.
But that's all right. If people are sensitive, then I'm probably not the person for them. I'm probably not the Instagram page for them. I'm not saying, though, that we should be sexist and racist and then we should call people sensitive when they get offended by it. That is not at all what I'm saying. And I think people throw around the word snowflake too freely to get away with being discriminative. And so I'm not supporting that. I'm just saying that, like, it's a hypothetical question.
It's a would you rather.
It wasn't racist or sexist or any sort of ist. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Cool.
And on that note.
I hope to see you as one of my students,
Go fuck
guys.
yourselves.
Go fuck yourself. I promise not to insult you if you're one of my students. But if you're not one of my students, it is likely that I will insult you. So become one of my students. Cut, gain, maintain 25.
CGM 25
is the discount.
Launches August 9th.
Yep.
As always, if you've enjoyed this podcast, any part of it, any snippet of it, please share it, tag us, like it, give us a 5-star review. Not interested if you only want to give us a 4. Don't bother with those. 5s only.
5s are above, actually.
We're okay with you doctoring your preferences and lying to the public. And if you're on YouTube, thumbs up. That would be nice. Drop a comment below. Ask us a question and we'll get back to you.
See you, everyone.
Thanks.